Welcome back to another episode, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having a wonderful day as always. Real fast, Manitoba, like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff that helps out the show, especially sharing. It truly does help. You can follow me on Facebook and YouTube at Manitoba Freethinker Podcast. Twitter, TikTok, Rumble, Minds, Liberty is MB Freethinker. You could send me an email at mbfreethinker@gmail.com or go to my webpage, mbfreethinker.wordpress.com, and you can get all the audio links to all the shows there. Or you can go to any podcast player and find any of the audio-only links there. All right, Manitoba. Just like the name of the show says, it is a bad day for justice in Manitoba. In case you guys are unaware, 5 Manitobans who floated COVID-19 restrictions handed fines ranging from $14,000 to $35,000. So this is why, Manitoba, I stress that it is so important to vote October 26th. Because honestly, if we had the right people in charge, then these 5 Manitobans wouldn't be facing a judge who can just interpret the law how he sees fit. And I mean, we already, in case you're not aware, these Manitobans were already handcuffed. They couldn't bring any constitutional fights to the table, so they have to wait for an appeals court to bring that up. But like I said, Manitoba, the right people in charge is very important. We know from previous testimony, our previous chief provincial public health officer, Dr. Michael Routledge, he testified that he wouldn't have done these lockdowns, not nearly to the extent Dr. Roussin went, deeming some big corporations essential while claiming mom and pop shops are unessential. Like the hardship that Dr. Roussin has caused. So like I said, Manitoba, the right people in charge makes a huge, huge difference. And I have a video of the Manitoba 5 when they came out of the court. I think it was filmed by Viola from It Takes a Village. So shout out to her. But he explains that this is not a complete loss because they will be, like I said, moving up the courts and appealing this. But they were handed down some heavy duty fines. But even though these Manitobans kind of took an L for all of us, it makes me wonder how many Manitobans are gonna be awake next time. You know what I mean, Manitoba? Like I said, they took an L, but how many small businesses are going to shut down? Because we all know the government is going to do it again. So at the very least, I think it's woken a lot of people up. The community is getting bigger, stronger, and people are waking up. But I'll just get into it from CBC News. 5 Manitobans who floated COVID-19 restrictions handed fines ranging from, like I said, $14,000 to $35,000. That is insane. Defendant showed, quote, no expression of insight or remorse, judge says. A Manitoba judge has imposed fines totaling almost $100,000 on 5 people convicted of repeatedly violating public health restrictions meant to limit the spread of COVID-19, which we all know doesn't work. Patrick Allard, a former candidate in the provincial Fort White by-election and an opponent of COVID-19 restrictions, received the highest, totaling nearly $35,000. Allard had received 14 tickets, more than all the others. He also broke the conditions of his release from police custody, unlike the other 4. Good job, Patrick, my man. Amounts for the 4 other defendants: Church of God Restoration pastor Tobias Tyson, Todd McDougall of WHAM, Winnipeg Alternative Media, Sharon Vickner and Gerald Bohemier ranged from more than 14,200 to nearly 19,000. So in total, all the fines added up to, like I said, nearly $100,000. All 5 defendants received multiple fines for repeatedly breaking limits on outdoor public gatherings in 20 and 2021. They have, quote, no expression of insight or remorse for their involvement, Provincial Court Judge Victoria Cornick said Thursday. Quote, a message must be sent that public health orders are meant to be respected, end quote. This is what it is, Manitoba. It's just a scare tactic. So, at least they have 7 years to pay these insane fines. Like, what other crime in Manitoba would amount to a $35,000 fine? Besides fighting for freedom, besides talking, is that the only crime in Manitoba that amounts to such a heavy fine? Supporters of the defendants packed the courtroom with more standing in the hallways outside. The judge thanked those in the room for their patience, saying it was, quote, emotionally charged issue. A loud cheer and clapping erupted from the supporters in the hallway when the defendants left the courtroom before security officials quieted them. Speaking to reporters outside the court building, Allard said he felt no remorse for the offenses that led to his fines. Quote, I'm never one to shy away from the truth and what my real feelings are, he said. Each individual was given multiple fines for offenses over a number of months. In each case, Cornick gave a reprimand for the first offense, with progressively higher amounts for subsequent offenses. One of Allard's fines was $5,000. Damn. The Crown has asked for fines totaling between $18,000 and $42,000 per person, plus costs and surcharges, because they're fucking dirty lawyers. Of course they would. Because the 5 had organized and spoken at rallies and urged others not to follow health orders, defense lawyers asked for reprimands and no fines. They weren't breaking windows. They weren't rioting in the streets. Alex Steigerwald, who represents all the defendants except Allard, told the court on Wednesday. My clients stood up and protested for something they believed in. Cornick waived the costs and surcharges for all defendants. So this is important. They plan to file an appeal to the Court of Queen's Bench, saying the public health orders were convicted of that they were convicted of violated their constitutional rights. So that's really important. Bohemier, a retired chiropractor, said they want to appeal in order to make our case as to why the Constitution should have been and probably was protecting us to be able to speak out like this. In the meantime, the defendants said they have no intention of paying the fines imposed on them by the court. In 2021, Tyson, along with 7 rural churches, launched a legal challenge against the province's COVID-19 public health orders, arguing they violated charter freedoms of conscience, religion, expression, and peaceful assembly. In October, Court of Queen's Bench Chief Justice Glenn Joyal ruled the restrictions did not violate those rights. Like I said, Manitoba, we need the right people in charge so this doesn't even end up in the court system. This, is mind-blowing. For the last 2 years, we kind of all knew this was going to happen. No Manitoba judge is going to step out of line. Let's put it that way. But either way, Manitoba, I think I got a video here. It's like 20 minutes long. I think it's super important. It's 20 minutes. Have a listen. It's the 4 out of the 5 responding to some reporters just after they came out of the law courts. I believe around 11 this morning, 11 or 12. But either way, Manitoba, have a listen. I hope that the volume is good. I'll make this full screen for you too.
I am.
Shout out to Viola at
Thank you.
It Takes a Village for recording this.
Was silenced for the last 3 years. is you, the media. Okay? The media has undertaken to be...
So like I said, Manitoba, it's about 20 minutes long. Have a listen.
It's your first.
That you were told by the World Health Organization and other organizations like the World Economic Forum and all of the doctors, and I'm a doctor, and all of the other doctors and thousands of scientists read the Great Barrington Declarations. All of those scientists were prohibited from being interviewed by mainstream media. Mainstream media is the reason why COVID got out of hand.
Truth.
Media did not do their work.
Truth.
A democracy relies upon the media to be the intermediary between what's good for the public and what the government is saying. You're not doing your homework. You're not doing the job that reporters are supposed to do. You're supposed to do your due diligence, find out what both sides of the stories are, and give us equal time. Our voices were silenced, and we had to get out in public, and we are being punished for our side of the story, and that is wrong. Okay, and we blame the media.
That's right.
The media did not stand for the people of the community. Okay? It is your job to do so.
That's
Start
right.
Doing your job.
That's right. Amen. Thank you, Dr. Jerry.
Years or so, and I was saddled with $34,000 in fines today. I've taken the lead charge in that. Some of the others got $18,000, $19,000, $14,000. I guess I was singled out because I continued to protest after my bail release, although I didn't breach my bail conditions. They felt that I wasn't deterred. However, there was a win here in court today. Huge win that maybe not everybody caught. The reason I started this, as I testified yesterday, was I stand up for the little guy. And that's everybody here.
Thank you.
That's everybody of the media.
Thank you. Thank you.
Behind me, people in the building everywhere. I stood up for someone who maybe didn't know what to say or didn't have a voice. Every single one of our first tickets received a reprimand.
Woo! Isn't that wonderful? Woo!
And the reason for the reprimand given by the justice was that everybody does have the right to protest.
Yeah,
everybody
that's right.
does have the right to peaceful assembly.
We know that, yeah.
The purpose of ticketing is a deterrence. So if anybody has received tickets for breaking the public health orders and gathering in a public gathering more than King Rusin declared, you do seek that reprimand because you do get that one shot. And we have set a precedent allowing people, even in a so-called public health emergency, to voice their disapproval at least just once. So you do not have to be afraid to speak up for fear of a ticket, because the justice just gave everyone here the opportunity to do so, even in a public health emergency or lockdowns, with that reprimand. And we will be ordering the transcripts of her decision, and we'll be distributing that to everyone.
Yes.
So if anybody has received a ticket, we will help you seek that reprimand.
The first ticket should be
the first ticket. And this isn't just Manitoba. This could have implications across Canada, where the justice has agreed that we did have that right to voice our displeasure. But once that ticket came, that deterrent should have been heeded. We didn't heed that deterrent, but others may have, So if you're out there and you've received a ticket, please lean on us to help you seek that reprimand, because I don't want anybody to pay any fines.
That's right.
This government.
Especially for freedom of
Thank
speech.
you.
Yeah.
Real media.
The real media, Winnipeg alternative media.
Woo!
It's been a pleasure to report on all this. It's been kind of interesting to be caught in between kind of activism and my own beliefs and the actual belief in what Jerry was kind of saying, the importance and the role of media, and how important citizen journalism has really become. Having been a part of watching all of this grow and watching its effect on the community, and watching the community actually grow far more to support something like what we've been doing over the past year and a half, 2 years, more so than we received any kind of like real sort of flack. Just the tickets, and actually the kinds of comments that we would get usually from the media was actually kind of the most negative stuff that we really endured. I would say the community surrounding us, as you see the fine people here and at the courtroom 2 days this week, continues to grow, that's really amazing. I want to point out that I think it's really incredible that so many of the things that we said going back a year and a half ago, that what would become the harm to children, on most of your guys' television or radio stations right now is littered with commercials of the people talking about how they need to start new programs, they need fundraising, they need to organize to assist in all the harm that was done to children in these past 2 years. You can't turn on a radio station or a television station or open up a publication anymore without hearing and seeing that conversation right there. Without apology, but right there. That is what we warned about a year and a half, 2 years ago. I left a job in childcare because of seeing that happen right in front of me. It's amazing to go see it now, a common talking point. Oh, the children have been so hurt these last 2 years. Maybe we should have done this better. That's what we got in trouble for saying. And we're still getting in trouble for saying it, even though at the very same time a judge hands us down a fine of upwards of $30,000. She can go home today, turn on the television station, and see commercials talking about exactly what she just fined us for saying.
Wow. Ain't that the truth?
Appeal.
Absolutely.
This will be
Want to talk
appeal.
about the strategy here? Does it go to the appeal?
Well,
I think strategy that'd be a better question for this is an unprecedented case in Manitoba. So we have the 30 days to notify the courts of our appeal, and that's what we intend to do.
the appeal is not to the Court of Appeal; it's to the Queen's Bench. We're the lowest court, the provincial court, so we've got our appeal goes to the Queen's Bench. Should we fail at that point, then we're allowed to appeal to the Court of Appeal. Now, there's already a case to the Court of Appeal that will be heard probably in November or December
13th.
And it's basically on the same idea that we were denied our constitutional arguments, and that's why we chose to just take the sentencing, and then we'll just move on to the appeal. Because our appeal is going to be a retrial to allow us to express ourselves and to make our case as to why the Constitution should have been, and probably was, if it's properly discussed, should have been protecting us to be able to speak out like this.
And given the ruling in the Gateway Bible Church case,
That's what we're waiting
how do you fight that and have that overturned in essence by having an appeal of your case?
Well, their appeal is scheduled for December 13th.
Ours would be probably a year from now. So we're going to be relying on whatever happens at that level. If at that level they get told that they fail, if they go to the Supreme Court of Canada, that's their next level. And so we're going to be taking advice from what goes on at those levels. Our next level is to the Court of Queen's Bench. Now, just as the head of the Court of Queen's Bench, that's Justice Joyal, he's the one that forbid the church arguments to go into the having any arguments regarding to the Constitution. So the Constitution does not protect us at this point. That's where the argument of the church is going to go to the Court of Appeal. If they say yes, the constitutional challenge should have been allowed to be heard. Okay? At that point, that'll affect down to us, and we may not even have to go to our appeal. It may immediately be given a retrial. Okay? That kind of thing. So we're going to see what happens in November, December this year. Our appeal will never be heard for another year. No, you don't.
Well, we've all been given 7 years. So in reality, we don't have to address those until year
7 trumpets. Isn't this a biblical number?
Isn't this
7?
right? Yeah.
Wow. Once we appeal, once we file the appeal, we don't have to worry about paying the fine. If the appeal is accepted, if our application is accepted to appeal, that puts a stay kind of thing temporarily until the higher court will decide. If we fail at that point, then of course the fines continue and maybe some new fines added to just a waste of time in the court.
And we, it's a shame that we couldn't come through with our constitutional arguments. If we had quite different arguments than the gateway challenge that the justice and the constitutional freedom is doing, or helping out on the women's act, I think the other 4, Tobias is gone, but give a thanks to the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms for
That's
helping
right.
out with some legal fees, and thank my lawyer, Mr. Kyle Morgan, for
Woo!
stepping up to the plate.
Alex Steigerwald was incredible.
Alex was very good. He stood up for us very well.
And we'll continue to.
And we'll continue that.
And so for strategy, we would ask them on how that goes. Like I said, it's unprecedented. It's been unprecedented for the whole in this sort of case, because everything we did, and I think this is important to note, everything we did over the last 2 years is something that we took for granted our whole lives.
Yep.
Shaking hands.
And hugging on every ticket.
And getting together with friends, maybe for a beer and a pizza, was illegal. Our constitutional arguments would have had expert reports from Dr. Denis Rampour from Quebec. We weren't able to enter his evidence because we didn't get the constitutional challenge. His reports show that the lockdowns caused far more harm than they did good.
Yep.
And he's totaled up the effect on the seniors in homes and how many people were affected by the lockdown. Like I alluded to,
Another
my
8
wife's
minutes or so,
great-grandmother
Manitoba.
died of isolation. You could dispute that she died of isolation. However, you can't dispute that she died in isolation. We threw away the people in our society who did everything for us to build these buildings, to put us here on this earth, and we just locked them away, and nobody fought for the elderly. We did.
That's right.
And
That's right.
why did we forget them? Why did we allow the government to just forget our senior citizens?
Cries for help, their despair. They went unheard.
You might feel that, and when that does happen, you can come to us and we will help you and give you support and give you the tools that we've learned and who to talk to in the government to try to get in to visit your grandma. But that shouldn't even be an issue.
That's right. That's right.
I don't want anybody to die alone.
No, that's the worst.
And that's what got me going.
Speaking about death, it is now known, and the insurance corporations in the United States have just published a 40% rise in claims for deaths. And that's since the vaccine. I'm warning people as a natural healing physician, vaccines do not prevent COVID. They do not prevent the transmission of COVID. But they do, because it's a new technology, it's experimental. And for you to get an experimental shot, you must be given full and informed consent. And they have never been able to do that because it's still not, the final determinations are still not out. It is an experimental shot. Ever since the vaccine got released, we've seen a 40% rise in death. And that's the insurance companies that are telling you that. And if the insurance companies are noting that, that's a big bell to ring right now. Do not get vaccinated. If you've already been vaccinated, do not take the booster shots. The more you get, the greater the chances of you having a very severe and maybe even terminal side effect. Don't get vaccinated. That is the wrong thing to be doing, especially with a non-vaccine thing like the
Experimental injection.
And our children.
You have 8-year-olds that are dead. You have 10-year-olds in cardiac arrest.
sick.
Do you have any regrets? Absolutely not.
Not. Absolutely not.
I think be careful what I say here, but I've never wanted to shy away from it. My only regret that I didn't go harder.
Yeah.
And I didn't. It wasn't loud.
Yeah, like I just mentioned as well too, we saw far more positive reinforcement and feedback than anything negative by a million miles.
We do have the public.
Far more.
I think we have the public. It's shifting. You know, we have the public support. In Quebec, they asked people who are double vaccinated, "Are you going to get a third shot?" 69% of people said no.
That's right.
In March 2020, April, May of 2020, 75% of the population wanted more lockdown. Now we have 70% of the population saying they don't want to take another vaccine.
Finally.
These are statistics. These are polls that people rely on. The public
Opinion is
shifting.
shifting.
And public opinion is the most important opinion out there. So I think, like I said yesterday, when we look back in history, 1 year from now, 10 years from now, 40 years from now, they're going to know that we were all right.
So that's why we have no remorse. Because what we were saying, our voice was censored. Okay? And if anybody should have remorse, to have censored in a democracy an opinion that was different than the government's opinion.
Unacceptable views according to Trudeau.
We were labeled as
Fringe minority.
racist because we had a different opinion.
Yet there was rallies happening in every country in the world practically.
Yes.
And there were our elected officials were participating in illegal gatherings. There was many gatherings that happened over the last 2 years that Bob Canoe was at, or Brian Bowman was at, or Dahani Fontaine was at. Even some of the conservative members of this government were at illegal gatherings.
Did they get tickets?
But they went on the floor of the ledge and demonized
Signing
us.
orders.
One of the
doing it behind
pillars
everybody's
of
back.
one of the pillars of totalitarianism is the criminalization of dissent. We have been criminally charged for dissent. Our voice was deemed to be not acceptable. If you look at some of the professors of society that have exposed Karl Marx for what he was, and China's Communist Party, and all of the other socialistic things, that's a failed system, time and time again. And Canada is slowly moving into that totalitarianism model of governance. We are losing our rights to have a democracy. And if we don't stand up, and the media is so important for that, let's get the media out of the pockets of the government.
That's right.
CBC,
Break the
who are
chains.
given $1 billion a year or more. CTV, not as much. You have got to be independent so that you could be that fifth pillar in society to protect us from the government overreach. And that's what we've been living for 3 years, government overreach. So we will not be saddened, as the judge said, that we had no remorse. We don't have your remorse standing up for the people. Somebody's got to stand up for the people. It's supposed to be the media. You guys need to really step it up a bit.
Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Sarah, what was my one regret? My one regret would have been
Oh, sorry, it's
not
still
being
going.
able to reach more people with love and truth, and that's my one regret. Like Patrick had said, our work isn't finished yet because we still see trauma everywhere. We see people wearing masks. We see children still being muzzled. We see, one of our biggest fans, a fine mess for the Manitoba Five. We've got the Grim Reaper that shows up all the time. The trauma that one individual must have to be standing here to be throwing daggers literally, and people are just truly hurt. So my one regret is I wish I would have found more ways, not just the one way we chose, more ways than sending out educational flyers, which me and an anonymous crew of people reached 10,000 homes reaching with educational flyers. Maybe that's something I should have stuck to instead of getting fines for everything I did. But I still could have done more. So my regret is I wish I could have found more ways than just being a voice in front of so many wonderful people I now call family. Amen.
Thank you all.
And we'll thank Justice Victoria Corning. I know she had a tough job ahead of her.
Yes, good.
And she balanced, and I think we appealed to her heart.
Yeah.
And I think she did what she could do.
Well said.
Thank you, guys.
Manitoba 5, woo!
All right, man.
Thank you, guys.
So I don't know, my webcam is just spinning. So I guess we're going to do the rest of the show with no webcam, but that's all right. Kind of plays in well with today's show because honestly, Manitoba, I've been sick for the last 5 days. So playing a couple of videos really helps out the voice. But so these, like I said, these 5 kind of took an L. But like two blocks over, more L's for Manitoba. In case you guys aren't aware, ever since the Freedom Convoy, one encampment in front of the ledge popped up, the north side, I believe. And then when the residential schools, the burial plots became public, the one on the east, this one popped up as well. So it's been there. It's been there for like a year. But they originally were given a like I said, this is 2 blocks away from the Manitoba 5 coming out of court. These guys are waiting essentially to be handed another eviction notice. They were supposed to be out, I believe, on Tuesday, both encampments. But they were they were given an extension until Friday. So I was there earlier today. I'm going to play you that video. But the great-grandmother in charge, the great-grandmother bear who comes like the wind, that's what Danko Maka Kai Pe Tashedi, I apologize for butchering that name. She's the clan mother in charge, and she talks very quietly, so it is hard to hear her on the video, but I did pick up everyone else speaking. But like I said, earlier when I was there today, they were waiting to be handed the eviction notice, which should happen Friday. Sometime they should be out, and they do not sound like they are going to leave. From CBC News, Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs calls for a dialogue as eviction of legislature grounds camp postponed. Like I said, a couple of days. A First Nations leader says a group of people encamped at the Manitoba legislature grounds have been given a reprieve from eviction until Friday, but says the forced dismantling of a sacred fire there is patronizing and oppressive. Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs Deputy Grand Chief Cornell McLean says the people behind an encampment on the east side of the grounds, which was set up more than a year ago after the discovery of suspected unmarked graves at the sites of several former residential schools, has been given an extension to dismantle their encampment. I mean, it's 2 days, Manitoba. Last week, a statement from Manitoba Justice Minister Kevin Gorton's office said while rallies and protests are allowed on the grounds, encampments are not due to concerns for the safety of staff, visitors, tourists, and other protesters. That's just government talk. I was there. They're doing nothing unsafe. So the encampment was previously told by the provincial government to pack up and leave by Tuesday at noon without any consultation. So, like I said, they are told to be gone tomorrow morning. I do know some of the Treaty 1 chiefs. I'm not sure if they're actual chiefs or just representatives were there. I'll play you the video. They said they are going back tomorrow, I believe around 11 or 12. But it doesn't sound like they want to leave. So whether you agree with them or not, I don't know a whole bunch about it. Like I said, I do know they're standing there in response to the residential school burial sites, and I know some people are saying whatever about that. There's people on board, and there's people saying they're not true, and they're just graves. They're not mass graves. But either way, I mean, the shit that these parents went through back in the day, just put yourself in their shoes. Like I said, I did this show like a year ago. Could you imagine a school teacher telling you you're not allowed to see your kid? A fucking school teacher taking your kid away. That's what these parents went through. You know what I mean? So like the shit that they went through, Manitoba, step up. Like, let's get to the bottom of these graves. I feel for them, man. Whether, like, let's just find out. Like one of the guys in the clip I'll play, he said, like, how come we can come up with all this money for Ukraine, but a Manitoba issue that's affecting a shitload of Manitobans, Winnipeggers, where's the money? And it's going to take years to get to the bottom of this. So I think this is one thing that we can do. I don't know if this is like in lines with reconciliation or whatever, but this is like some sort of gap we could bridge. Like everyone can get on board with this. Let's just find out the truth. Like who the fuck is on board with I'm not going to stand behind these crazy fucking Catholic schools that kidnap kids, that were abusive to First Nation kids and white kids, man. Like they were fucking crazy back then. But either way, Manitoba, so like I said, it's hard to hear for at least the first minute, but give it a chance. And man, these people aren't playing around. I don't think they're leaving. So I don't know. I'm gonna stop talking before I lose my voice because it's hurting. But either way, Manitoba, have a listen.
I called them actually, they were trying to remove me the other day. I spoke to them all day on Tuesday to give us this chance to come and we got you because we were away. So, you know what they're saying is tomorrow is...
It does get louder, Manitoba, I promise you.
And what's worse than is that we should have the right to... You guys aren't hurting anybody. You guys are good. That's what we're trying to make them understand. What our rules are, with our.
But if they don't want to understand,
that's right.
Then it should be up to our chiefs to call upon the people to come and guard this because they're guarding our freedom. Democracy.
We will stand to the very last man, and we will not let our elders down. We will not let our nation down. This is our Anishinaabe land, homeland, and we stand together. We can create.
Well, I'll tell you what I was told by the minister. The minister said that the law is already in place. It's beyond his control. It's with the police and the security of the leg. And they're going to do what they need to do to what does that mean, though?
But in the same token, that means that we're grandfathering because if the law just came out,
that's right.
It doesn't apply to us. We've been here some 14 days, so we are grandfathering.
And that's what we've told them. Right? We should be allowed to do this. We should be allowed to stand up for what we believe in, for those young people who didn't make it, right?
Yeah.
And that's what it means. Just so that you know that we're standing with you, but sometimes the law is out of our control. Right? You know, we could say every day we could have 100 people here every day, but does that change their way of thinking? No, it doesn't.
Doesn't mean we gotta accept it either.
That's right.
So they're gonna have to drag us out of here, and they better not put their hands on our grandmothers, because then the shit is gonna hit the fan.
I'll be here. I'll be ready.
Respect to be respected.
Every child matters.
I heard they're gonna bring second. I guess it'll give us whatever time, but we still stand the same.
Yep.
If they have to remove
also, you know, like we tried to call the ministers. The premier don't answer her phone. None of the ministers answer their phone. It's all about protecting Manitoba. Well, we're Manitobans too, right? You know what I mean?
And we have more right to this territory than they do. More. You know, this is our land. And you know what? It's time that people stand up and say, no more of this. They're not going to tell us anymore where, when, and how. You know? We don't do that to them. I see practices of different cultures in Central Park wearing out. Does anybody ever come and stop them? No. But us, as soon as we do something, we're always in the wrong. And that's all we're saying. So, whatever we have to do to protect, and however they're gonna, you know, try to put it out for the way. So be it. That's what we said at the beginning.
So you know, I'll come back tomorrow again.
Already?
They can't put out the fire, guys.
Don't let them put it out.
Protect the fire.
Yeah,
Protect
we'll
that
have
fire.
more people there. We have a lot of people here. All we have to do is send out the message, and that's what we'll be doing. Say your names, we're going to stand. We're going to be here, get our first support. So whatever happens, will happen.
Did they ever come here at all? The people here? The legislature, did they ever come and
Some sticks.
Rations.
Yeah. I guess the government.
Nobody else? They never sent anybody here? Never, right?
No.
Not even once.
You never came.
Not even the AMC or the Southern Chiefs either.
Well, you know, if you're gonna be here tomorrow and see what's gonna happen,
Yeah.
we support that. God is the one that kept the fire going through cold months.
This man, through winter,
Yeah, little girl
for them
over
to
there.
come and put it out.
Gabrielle, that little woman over there, she helped them, and there's another one, but she's gone up north. Through the cold winter
These
months.
people sacrificed a lot this winter just for some white men to come and put out their fire. This is our fire. I'm a sun dancer. So they're gonna have to drag me out of here, or you guys gonna have to bring some body bags. But the shit stops here. For me, it stops right here. Otherwise, next time they're gonna go more and more. Now we stand our grounds and say, no, you don't touch that fire. Look, these churches that committed crimes against our people, they're still going. We can't practice ours.
Yeah.
We can't practice ours, but there's churches all around here doing their shit. Nobody's touching the fires, and nobody's touching our cooking, man. Fuck that shit.
I'm just wondering what we would like to do with everything here. What would be a resolve? How could we resolve things with you guys?
Leave us alone.
Leave us alone.
You know what?
Just allocate this area for this, and that's it.
If you
But
listen,
what do we want beyond that, though?
but look
That's
at what
that's my question.
his demands are this.
What do we want
Until
beyond
the
that?
last grave, is dug,
We'll support that.
we'll leave. So if they get their shit together, like when they're moving the war machine to go fight in fucking Ukraine, that they could come up with millions and millions, come up with the money, and let's get this done in the next week. Then we go home. But if you're gonna drag your feet for another 2 years, uncovering the graves, then we're fucking here for another 2 years.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You know what? Like Rob said, the fire began. So it started off at 215. I'm going to get the count as of today. And tomorrow, I just won't have time. And 1998. There was so much happening.
Yes.
I came from my community. And I drove my car. And up the steps. And then I
Forget our laws are
I
already
went
here.
right to the doors, and I had my pipe. And I smoked my pipe, and I pointed it in that direction. And I called out to the doors. And I didn't know it was going to take this long. But tomorrow, before all this begins, before they start tearing us down, I'm going to walk over there, and I'm going to do what I have to do again.
Yes.
And I will
And as warriors, we will make sure that we will stand up to violence, that we will stand up to our bullies. We will not be pushed around no more. We will not let our elders be harmed.
Oh.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I was sitting in, at that time with, what's his name, didn't bring up the problem with the starter tapes. He didn't bring that up. He was in a roundabout way. You know, like, what am I doing now? What are you? I said, well, you know what? I said, nothing really. I said, so why did you call? He said, well, I'm just checking on you. I said, what? Never had any contact with him. Never spoke to me before. But there's other tapes. There are numerous tapes already. So they knew who I was. You know? And that's going to happen. It's going to happen here. But we're here now. But I'll do what I have to do up there to finish that call that I did to few minutes ago back then in 1998.
We're going to make sure she does what she wants to do. And we're just going to come here.
Then I'll come back here.
In peace.
Exactly. And then they'll do what they have to do. And then I'll put people here, and there's going to be more coming. We'll put a call out, and some ladies coming from the community. So we'll see. I guess we'll just take it from there. But like you said, if there's a solution, and if they want to allocate this land, give us this land back, allocate to such a, you know, word to use. I mean, this is our territory, this is our land. I'm Treaty 1, you know. I'm sitting in my own territory, my own homeland, and I'm being evicted because of who I am. And I went through so much already with the residential school. My parents suffered, my siblings suffered. I have two, a sister, a baby brother, a baby sister, that were born, and they were not allowed to be buried with the rest because they were not baptized. So they buried them far away. The priest said they're not good enough for consecrated grounds. You know? Those are the kind of things they did to us.
Now, why is conservation coming to service?
So, you know, those things are
crown
all
land?
going to come out. It's not crown land, it's a land.
No, you know what I mean, though. Like,
Yeah,
is
no.
this considered?
I don't
Is that why they come?
Well,
Because
yeah.
if it is, under treaty, you could put a tent anywhere in Treaty 1. Okay? So
We're
it's
supposed
crown
to
land.
share the land, according to Treaty 1. Share the land. They're not sharing with us. They just kick us out whenever they feel like it. They kicked our ancestors off into reserve. You know, as soon as we say something, we do something, they evict us, they kick us.
They changed the laws
Exactly.
to accommodate theirs.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start changing
What
laws.
did they speak about changing this law? This protesting law? When they had the freedom convoy, they
Exactly.
could do whatever they want.
It didn't accommodate us.
You know?
Well, you
The
know, you need
Freedom
people to
Convoy
back
people,
you
that's
up.
for
You need
sure.
people. So if you need people to back you up, then contact people like us that are willing to stand by you.
Yes.
Like, we don't get paid for the work we do, and we'll keep on doing it. We work on the people give us donations. People feed us.
Yes.
But we work. Because we work for them and they do. That's what we work for. For the people.
That's for the people.
So, you know, because of that, that's why we're strong. Because we don't take that money. We share amongst each other what little we get. You know, we help each other out. We don't have much, but we share. We feed people when they come to visit. We share with our, you know, donations. They come and pray. You know, people donate. My son came and donated a couple of, you know, tubs of tobacco. He's been doing that regularly to keep the, you know, that's how we survive. People believe in us. People support us. And whatever we can. We don't get paid. We don't ask for pay. Rob has been digging into his own pocket. And so did I. To keep this going. So that's what we're about. That's why we're strong. Because we work for genuine do. Okay?
Well, what we'll do is we'll
5 more
we'll
minutes,
speak to the-
Manitoba.
We'll talk to government on your behalf.
Okay.
Some kind of resolution.
Oh, yes.
Okay, well,
That's what I wanted to. That's why
It's simple.
find a way so that they're not, none of this is happening, right? And that can't happen. It's not going to happen, right? Like we have to find a way to resolve it peacefully.
And it's in their court.
Also, they have to give back to us, right? Like, there's a lot, and those young children. You know, that was the story here. Why this started is because of those kids. So we have to ensure that that's not lost in everything, right? Because they try to create confusion and they try to, they try to frame us in a way that is not properly understood by Canadians, and we always want them to understand the Anishinaabe are peaceful people. We've always been. You've been the ones who have been attacking us. You know, you've done this to our children, and so we have to, you know, seek some retribution for that, and that's what reconciliation is, right? And this place here is a reminder of that truth. It's a reminder of the denial of truth, right? And now they're trying to do it again. And so that's what we have to tell the media. That's what we have to tell
my statements. I guess we're kind of
these guys.
which is good. Even though we didn't make the court today, like we did a couple weeks ago, but still our statements are in line. So very happy to.
I said, man, let it come with 100 cops in there, because self-defense is traditional and ceremonial.
Speak up. Okay, so you say you're gonna speak on our behalf. You're gonna try and.
Well, we're gonna speak against the law that is trying to have you removed here, the eviction. We're gonna say that that's not fair. It's a denial of the truth. It's not a recognition of reconciliation. You know, and that we are here to honor those children and to remind you of what's happening to Anishinaabe people, what's happening to the Indigenous people of this country, and that can't be forgotten. And it hasn't changed. It's not changing. We're still dying 11 years earlier.
Okay. So I have another question to ask. If you're going to speak on now, where and how are you going to do it?
Well, we can go tell these guys right now.
Well, you'll tell, but
I'll go tell these guys.
That's not the government, correct?
No, this is the media.
Okay, that's the media. But I want to know, like, tomorrow it's coming. That's
we're going to come here again.
Okay, you're going to come.
What time should we come?
Okay, you're going to come?
Depends. Did you get an eviction notice?
Not yet. That's what we're waiting for. So, I'll give you my phone number. It's 204.
Are you married?
Mary, yeah. Okay, that's one. Contact me. I have that. So if you're going to be here, and then the other thing we wanted to understand, if negotiations are to take place with the province, we want to be involved. We would like the negotiations to have time to be around here. To be here, outdoors.
Well, they can't even come here. They're right here.
Well, ask them. Ask them.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
okay,
We said that to Gertz too, and I said with them, well, did you guys go talk to them? Did you even go and chat with them? And I said, because you should go and talk to them before you start.
Where's the olive branch?
Pushing around.
Well, why don't you guys put that? We'll leave it up to you guys as our leaders or territory one to make that request to come here with you present, the leaders, I don't want to say present, to speak with us with you present and us here.
Okay.
If you can do that.
Well, we'll come here tomorrow again. What time? Okay. Same time?
Yeah. Okay.
Wanna come same time?
Just let me know. Call
Okay.
me.
Well, we'll find out what you're trying to do.
I think same time was around 11, 12, or 1. I'm not too sure. Oh, wait, I didn't look at my watch.
And we'll bring more people.
Good.
We'll bring more people. We'll bring more people. Okay. All right.
First thing we need is another Oka crisis.
All right, so like I said, it does not sound like they are going anywhere tomorrow. And they're like, why haven't Gortson, come out and talk to them or this or that? In case you're wondering, Manitoba Justice Minister wants people charged with knife crimes to have less chance at bail. What did he do? He wrote a letter, and I'm pretty sure it was about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I reported on an article that Chief Danny Smythe, the Winnipeg Police Chief, reported that there was something like, I think it was referring to just Winnipeg alone in the past year, like something like 1,200 knife attacks. And now he finally, after 1,200 knife attacks, our Justice Minister wants to come out and write a strong letter. Manitoba, I got to go back to what I started the show, we have to vote. These people, man, like, this guy is incompetent. 1,200, and like, some of these candidates running for mayor right now are still year in, year out, decade in, decade out, trying to promote for people to come downtown, like walk downtown. It's like, are you fucking insane? 1,200 knife attacks. So to the people at the encampment wondering why Gortson hasn't confronted a situation in real time, he's gonna need a lot more than one event. I mean, he thought he solved it when he because of the Freedom Convoy, and he put all these rules in place about no encampments, no vehicles, no fires. So honestly, we'll see. I don't want to see any violence, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. I don't know if I'll be able to get down there live, but I'm sure it's going to be in the news. I'm sure it'll be all over social media. But either way, Manitoba, I'm going to get my camera working, and then you'll be able to see my ugly face again. But either way, that's going to do it for today's show, Manitoba. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe. Like I said, do all that stuff. I love you guys. I might go live over the weekend, but if not, you can check me out on Tuesday. Will be the next show. Tuesday, Thursdays, 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. live. So tell a friend. Share. Let's build a community. Anyways, Manitoba, love you guys so much. In case you guys joined late, the first part, I played a video of the Manitoba 5. So go watch that video. It's pretty interesting. But either way, Manitoba, I love you guys, and I'll catch you guys Tuesday. Bye.